today. Tomorrow, partly cloudy and 14, partly cloudy 18. Saturday, rain at times Sunday at warm top of 19. Then a shower or two on Monday and Tuesday with temperatures in the mid-teens. More news as it happens on 5AA.
1395, Adelaide's 5AA. This is Peter Godfrey.
It is 7 minutes past 5 now, and we are right on 5 degrees in the city at the moment. Another chilly one. Hopefully the day will be a bit warmer. Let's see how things are across the ditch. Over in New Zealand, Selwyn Manning joining us, editor of EveningReport.nz. How are you, Selwyn?
Oh, temperature-wise, Peter, it's not too bad. Up in the Auckland area, we're heading for a high of 18 degrees. It was an overnight low of only 12, which isn't too bad, is it? But it's absolutely pouring down there. There are a few gales up in the north of North Island, around the Kaitaia area.
Yeah.
That's heading for a national high of 19 degrees, and they had an overnight of 15 degrees. So that's indicative, I suppose, of the weather system that is kind of settling in on us from more in the northwest part of the Pacific and coming down this way. But it looks like we've got some rain for some days, and I understand it's quite dry and cool over with you.
Yeah, we've had only a few spots of rain in the last few days, and that's what's ahead the next few days as well. But yeah, cold overnight temperatures, clear skies, so no clouds to hold the heat in, so shivering a bit.
Shivering, yes. Oh, it's a bit of a reminder for us that we were getting a bit smug last week, I think, Peter, and, with the warmer temperatures saying, spring's already here.
Yeah, we were the week before when we had it. Exactly.
Mother Nature has got another message for us.
Yes, indeed. Well, what's happening for your headlines from your part of the world this morning?
Yeah, sure. New Zealand Herald.co.nz is leading with the returns of the Olympians, and it's got a bit of a scandal there, or, there's a little bit of clickbait going around it, which seems to be the Herald's way at times. But the headline there is, Olympic hero, my wife was demeaned. So, there it gets into some internal secrets that were going on there. But the stuff that's stuff.co.nz, which is Fairfax's expression over in this part of the world, it's leading with rescued, and that's honing in on the earthquake in Italy, which has certainly got, I know it's hitting the news in Australia as well, and there's a look to see whether or not any Kiwis are there that are caught up with that. There's also a story there about a journalist that works for one of the television networks was hit by a car while she was riding a horse. A horse was killed and she is injured. So there's a bit of local interest in that one. And looking across at Radio New Zealand, they are leading as well with the headline, Italy quake, scores dead as desperate searches continue, and it goes into at least 120 people killed. And of course in New Zealand, it's very much a reminder of what occurred in Christchurch only back in 2010 and 2011. Also, it's, Radio New Zealand is heading on leading sub-lead there of Myanmar quake kills 3 and damages the temples. So that's making big news over here, Peter.
Indeed. Let's get on to some of your some financial issues issues for your exporters at the moment, with the New Zealand dollar sustaining its climb against the US dollar. So hard times continuing for exporters.
Yes, it is, Peter. And just as a comparison, New Zealand dollar is usually quite significantly lower than the Australian by a number of cents, but it's getting it's going up there against the Australian dollar as well. So you're looking at about 95 cents Australian to every New Zealand dollar. So just bear that in mind when I'm mentioning these kind of things. But the New Zealand dollar, it's been sustaining this climb against the US dollar. It's sitting yesterday at around 72.8 cents US to the New Zealand dollar. And only this time last year, Peter, it was sitting around the 63 US cents to the New Zealand dollar, which was bringing in more money. And quite simply, the equation goes that the higher a dollar goes against the US, the less money coming back from exports that a company or country gets. And that's a situation that's the same in Australia in a sense, isn't it? That while the dollar goes higher against the US is weaker, then you get less money coming in for the exports. And then an export-led kind of economy like New Zealand is so susceptible too. Starting to show some strange signs, Peter, and the most recent was yesterday with Statistics New Zealand yesterday morning released the facts and figures for the trade, merchandise trade of July 2016, so only last month. and it showed that there was an overall meat. It was looking at the cattle and lamb area where it really pinpointed that it contributed to a significant drop in trade dollars coming back into New Zealand. It said that meat, for example, and edible offal in July alone was down 19% compared to July 2015. That was to the point of nearly $500 million down just for the month. And it was saying that lamb exports, they fell 29%. So that's just giving a picture where you can see outside of even the dairy kind of area, Peter, there is really, really, really some major issues that are starting to face New Zealand exporters, and then consequently all of those businesses and families that rely on that export dollar for their livelihoods.
Which are your bigger exports? Is meat bigger than dairy, or dairy bigger than meat over there?
Dairy's the big deal.
Dairy's the big one, yeah. I thought it was.
Yeah, remember our wonderful Prime Minister back in the election campaign of 2014 was saying to everyone, we're on the cusp of something great.
The white gold
economy.
That's right. Yeah.
White gold is going to be our major saviour. Well, you compared to now, if you look at just last month's figures, dairy exports, they fell in July down by 88 million just for that month. If you're looking at milk powder, it fell 118 million. It was offset, Statistics New Zealand says it was offset by slight increase in the butter and milk constitutes, meaning, like value-added stuff, butter and cheese and that kind of stuff. Yeah. But the major fall was in the dairy powder, and that's where the bulk of New Zealand's money comes in, Peter. It's used. Of course, there's a diversified economy. There's obviously other things like, I know Dave Penberthy, of course, he doesn't like seeing the New Zealand plonk in the shops, and New Zealand dumping its plonk. That's a big export earner for New Zealand, not just to the Australian market, but overseas abroad, mainly the white wine varieties. But the other things is obviously in the horticulture area, kiwi fruit, of course, but pit fruit, stone fruit, apples, etc. goes on. But by and large, you get a dip down in the agriculture export returns significantly in the milk, in New Zealand starting to get a bit of a wobble on its wheel, Peter, and that's what's coming through. And the Reserve Bank is really trying to do everything in its skill set to address this problem, but it's primarily the only tool that is traditionally had is adjusting that OCR, the official cash rate, which they put the official cash rate up or down, and that is supposed to influence the interest rates that are attached to mortgages and businesses, etc. And that's supposed to either cool down or heat up the economy. It's just not working. It's just not working at all. The Reserve Bank last week reduced the New Zealand OCR down to 2%. Hoping that there would be some relief in lower the value of the New Zealand dollar against the US, but it wasn't the case. It actually went up straight away. That was showing a reverse reaction to what it actually wanted, which led to the Reserve Bank governor, a guy called Graham Wheeler over here, doing a speech earlier this week where he's saying, the policy tools that we've got are just not adequate to address things in this day and age. Got nothing by way of a response to that particular statement by the Reserve Bank from our politicians. Certainly from our finance minister, there's nothing really that he added to that, meaning that there were no solutions to this, no new ideas that would come through with other tools that might actually be more effective in bringing that or having more control over the Kiwi dollar. And I've got to say too that the spokesperson for finance in the Labour Court, Grant Robertson, his name is, there was just nothing there. And you get a feeling, Peter, that the politicians, irrespective of the need being now, the politicians are keeping their powder dry for election year, which is next year, and just keeping all their policies quiet, and that's obviously not in the country's interest. No, indeed. And I guess this is probably a dumb question, but I guess, the amount of exports falling, you guys aren't reaping the benefits of having your own lamb cheaper or your meat products cheaper for you guys to buy. I guess that's not happening. No, that's the funny thing, It doesn't seem to go that way, does it? So, it's like a lose-lose on two sides of things. When the dollar's going up in value, traditionally, obviously, imports become cheaper for the consumer, for you and I, our friends and, families, etc., all the people in the country. But what we've noticed over here, and just give you a quick comparison, petrol for 91 unleaded petrol has still been held up around $1.79 per litre, Peter. you do your equations to the Australian, it shows you how more expensive our petrol is. So the petrol primarily comes in from overseas. It's part of the export amount. You'd expect it to be significantly cheaper than it is, and it hasn't been going down at all. It's certainly down on what it was 2 years ago, which was over the $2 per litre, a mark for 91 unleaded, but it's not going down. And I looked into that yesterday, and Statistics New Zealand once again was the source of the information. It said that the actual amount of petrol imported into the country had reduced. So you kind of think back and you think, well, okay, well, that must mean that they were trying to create extra demand in the country to justify the prices staying up high. It's always a catch-22, isn't it? We see it played out in our cities, in our towns, in our regions, in our countries, all over the place.
Indeed. So we'll just have a quick break, but then you can tell us all about the hero's return. Now, we've had a similar experience ourselves yesterday, but we'll hear about your heroes returning with you in a moment. And I don't know whether we want to talk about the Wallabies and the All Blacks. I'll
try not to lay it on too thick. Okay. You lose all your wonderful audience.
Exactly. Be right back with you in a moment, Selwyn. Selwyn Manning's with us, editor of EveningReport.nz.
At Duncan Bashir Hannon, you know that we offer a great depth of expertise in providing legal services to South Australians. But you might not know
is that Duncan Bashir Hannon also offers family law services. Our DBH Family Law team will deliver the best outcome for you. Free call 1-800-DBH-DBH. That's 1-800-324-324. Or visit dbh.com.au.
Duncan Bashir Hannon. Don't settle for less.
Where do you go for a $3,000 minimum trade-in? That's right, $3,000 minimum trade-in on a new or demo Mitsubishi? You go to Agostino. Right now at Agostino Mitsubishi, you'll get $3,000 minimum trade-in on new and demo Mirage and Lancer. Yes, $3,000 minimum trade-in. Terms and conditions apply. So go to Agostino Mitsubishi. 2 great locations. LVD 25301.
At Oakland's Aged Care in Oaklands Park, we're enriching the lives and lifestyles of our senior Australians. Through our dynamic lifestyle program and individualised care and support, we're enabling our residents to live their lives to fullest. After all, it's not aged care, it's caring for the aged. Japara Healthcare and Aged Care Services Australia Group are at the forefront of the aged care industry. So book your tour today. Call Oakland's Aged Care on 8296 7284 or Google Oakland's Aged Care.
I need a filter for my motor.
Auto Pro.
Have you got a disc brake rider?
Auto Pro. We've got seat covers, tools and clamps, gaskets, oils, mats and ramps. 4 great prices, we're the champs. Auto Pro.
I'd like a fancy new sunshade.
Auto Pro.
I'll grab a set of wiper blades.
Auto Pro.
Order a brand new regulator, an electric alternator, and can you fix my radiator?
Auto Pro.
Call 132 776 for your nearest dealer.
Auto Pro.
Breathe better, sleep better. It's key to healthy living. Introducing Selwyn Plus, designed to provide relief from a wide range of respiratory conditions. Selwyn Plus is completely natural, enriching the air with tiny salt particles and may help with congestion, coughing, snoring, hay fever and more. With over 20,000 satisfied customers in Australia, Selwyn Plus is safe for all age groups and comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. So breathe better, sleep better. Ask your trusted pharmacist about Selwyn Plus or visit ableasthma.com.au.
Peter Godfrey, talking Adelaide on 1395 5AA.
And we're taking a look across the ditch, seeing what's happening for our Kiwi cousins in New Zealand. Selwyn Manning, editor of EveningReport.nz, with us. Well, Selwyn, the game's all wound up. Now we've got nothing to watch, sport-wise.
I know. We'll have to bask in the memory, won't we?
Yeah. But all the athletes returning home, the South Australian contingent flew back into Adelaide yesterday, but your guys have flown back home too on the back of the, was it the best medal haul for New Zealand at the Olympics?
It was, Peter. It was the best medal haul. There were 13 medals taken in total in London, and there were 18 medals won in Rio. So the country is really celebrating that. The golds, we've had more golds in the past, but still, what I think came across was just how close and competitive a lot of our athletes were, and I'm sure that was the case with you guys too. But even the people that got bronzes, there was, one of the comments came through there that bronzes are fantastic because it shows the ones that have just snuck through. And it just in a lot of these tight finishes, we were seeing that coming through, and the country was right behind that idea. So in the past, I guess culturally, the focus would have been solely on the bronzes, and there's been a celebration of right across, and even in the spirit in which some of the athletes competed, has been celebrated extensively over here. And like when in the rugby sevens, and Australia won the gold medal there. That's the rugby sevens, and the New Zealand women that got silver to Australia, and they performed a haka in Australia's honour.
Yep.
And that was played here a lot. That some would say, a cynical response and say, oh, well, you get a silver in a sport that's as strong as this in the country. Well, you got to kind of grab and try and make something of it. But then again, it was a sincere, kind of instantaneous, off the cuff kind of response that the women did in the rugby sevens, and it was well celebrated. But then, they came back. By far, the most of them arrived back yesterday. There was a huge crowd at the airport, in Auckland International Airport, as they came through. Been in the plane, obviously, all for a long time to get back to New Zealand, and be the same for your Aussie people. And they went straight on buses across to Auckland waterfront, where there's this bit of an event centre thing called the Cloud there, and they had a bit of a celebration and a lot of good times. A lot of people enjoyed that, obviously. Just then off to their respective towns and cities and homes, of course. That's been seen as a very successful Olympic campaign, Peter. There was around about $160 million calculated that had been spent on our teams in the elite sports to get, Kiwis up to scratch with their competition. If you equate it down by the medal, some people have done that, mainly the accountants, I suppose.
Yes,
it's about 8.8 million New Zealand dollars per medal.
Okay, okay.
Kind of put it that way.
Yeah, that's been done. I think, did I see a figure of a bit over 9, I think, per medal here for our medal haul, and ours, many were a bit disappointed with our medal haul, more than London, but less than we've had in previous years. So it's interesting, sort of the comparison, and sort of criticism levelled at, the swimmers weren't quite as good, and the basketball, they weren't quite as good, and that kind of thing. So interesting that you guys have been a little bit more supportive.
People noticed that Australia wasn't picking up in the pool as much as what we would always expect from outside your country. Yeah. Obviously, a formidable country in that area. So I guess, there's been a bit of the same kind of thing in looking at the training techniques, like the men's rugby sevens, they ditched so badly there, and they realised, well, a lot of the other countries, Australia included, with both men and women, in that sevens thing, they'd create like a community around them, meaning those players had remained together for a good year, maybe even more than that. Whereas in New Zealand, they'll pull them together, in the month or two prior to that. From the provinces, they hardly know each other, and they're supposed to function as a living team. And so there's some look going into that training philosophy, training techniques, just outside of the physical and the technical and the strategic kind of elements of the training. So there's some good that has come from a loss, perhaps, and there's obviously the rugby fraternity didn't like going down so significantly in the Olympics and the men's sevens, particularly with the All Black brand on the front of it, Peter. That was a big deal here. Yeah. There was quite a lot of criticism from sports pundits, particularly a guy called Chris Ratu in the New Zealand Herald, who's well respected here, and he pulled no punches. And his view was that that this particular team at the Olympics were younger guys that wouldn't make the All Black squad, and they didn't really deserve to have the label All Blacks on the front of it, which was a brand, a label that had been created over the last 100 and so years, and that this team really should have been the New Zealand Rugby Sevens male, that type of thing. So there's been a big debate in those that are so loyal to the All Black brand over here that obviously stuck. But if you look at the medal tables and things like that, I think Australia came in at number 10 on the tables globally, and New Zealand came in at 19 for those that are interested. Australia's medal haul with golds 8, New Zealand got up 4 of them. Silvers, Australia 11, New Zealand 9, so it's pretty close there, I suppose. And then the bronzes, Australia 10 bronzes and New Zealand got 5, so a total of 29 medals for Aussie. Total of 18 for New Zealand. If you go across to the per population, New Zealand fared pretty well. We mentioned that last week as it was tracking, and New Zealand's at number 5. Above us, a number 4 position on per population with medals there is Fiji. So there's fantastic. Fiji in number 4. That's just marvellous stuff.
They'd be still celebrating there, I would think.
Yeah, and then the only other thing in sport, Peter, is that small thing where the All Blacks played the Wallabies in Sydney last Saturday night, and I won't crow about it too much.
Yeah, the small thing you're referring to is the Wallabies score, I'm guessing, in comparison to the All Blacks score. 42,
yeah, that was one of the records. It's not quite the biggest margin, but it's pretty close to it, and that was 42 points to 8. That was after Peter Fitzsimmons, the Wallaby great, who's a journalist and writer. And he was on Radio Australian, Peter Fitzsimmons, of course, and he was on Radio New Zealand last week prior to that game saying the All Blacks are looking like they're going to get a bit of a hiding here. I've predicted in the past wrongly, he said, but the Wallabies, I think, are absolutely going to do the All Blacks in this game. So Peter's calculations are not quite right there.
A little bit off there.
But it's not all over for the Bledisloe Cup. Of course, there's 3 games. One is this Saturday in Wellington, New Zealand, at what they call there the Cake Tin, because it looks like a cake tin. And both teams start with a 0 score, so it can be anyone's game there. And despite the history which says that on New Zealand soil, you've got to go back to August the 11th, 2001, Peter, since the Australian Wallaby team beat the All Blacks on New Zealand soil. So it'd be great to see some tradition challenged there.
Yes,
and
indeed.
Peter Fitzsimmons will be able to salvage some reputation again.
Oh, let's hope so. Well, we'll see what happens with that one. Selwyn, thanks for joining us. Have a great week, and we'll do it all again with you next week.
Okay, Peter. See you soon.
Thanks, mate. Bye-bye. Selwyn Manning in New Zealand, editor of EveningReport.nz. It is 28 minutes past 5. Anne Stone coming up in a moment with 5AA News, Sport and Weather.
Hello. Frank Walker from National Tiles. This week only at National Tiles, save up to $5,000 on trend-setting stone, brick and concrete-look European floor tiles. That's right. Save $5,000 and all with National Tiles' exclusive premium range lifetime guarantee. So rush into National Tiles now and save up to $5,000 on your all-new trend-setting National floor tiles. Conditions apply.
There's nothing quite like twilight at the campsite. The freedom, the adventure. Old friends, new friends.
New Age Caravans Adelaide has a new home on South Road, Clovelly Park. New Age are proudly Australia's fastest growing caravan manufacturer. Industry leaders with cutting edge technology and construction. Come in for a friendly chat and inspection today. New Age Caravans Adelaide, taking you to amazing places. 1172 South Road, Clovelly Park. newagecaravansadelaide.com.au.
We're the home of Father's Day with all sorts of presents for all sorts of dads. We're the home of great choice, everything from plants to power tools. We'll help you pick the perfect present. And we're the home of quality products that won't let your dad down. So if you're looking for a gift that'll knock Dad's socks and jocks off, it's time to go home. The Big Aqua Building on North East Road. Direct home timber and hardware, North East Road, mate.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny and 15 today. It's 5:30. I'm Anne Stone. The death toll from Italy's earthquake has now topped 120. 368 people have been rescued, but nearly 400 are still missing after the 6.2 magnitude quake struck the central area of Perugia, reducing buildings to rubble. Italy's Prime Minister Matteo Renzi says everything will be done to help the victims.
In the moments of difficulty, Italy knows what to do. In the moments in which things do not go right, all of Italy, all of it, shows their best side. The government is committed to not leaving anyone, no family, no community, no neighbourhood alone.
And a powerful 6.8 magnitude quake has struck central Myanmar, killing at least 3 people and damaging some of the famous pagodas in the ancient capital of Bagan. Train services will be disrupted today after talks with drivers and the state government failed to reach a resolution yesterday. They'll walk off the job today for a stop work meeting affecting services on the Belair line from 8:30am to 2:30pm. And there's more action planned for tomorrow, impacting fans heading to Adelaide Oval for the Crows game tomorrow night. Caroline Kelly from the Transport Department says there will still be a few ways for people to get around.
Trams are expected to operate to normal schedule. We do expect there'll be significant impacts on Adelaide Metro and Mac Footy Express train services with reduced frequency across the network. No Adelaide Metro train or Mac Footy Express train services will operate on the Belair and Grange lines on Friday until after 7pm.
Woolworths has announced it will close all stores of its failed hardware chain Masters in early December. The supermarket giant is selling its home timber hardware business to Metcash for $165 million. Another of Australia's most wanted has been arrested a week after police nationwide launched a new campaign. The 41-year-old man was arrested in Western Australia on Monday and has been extradited to Sydney to face charges over a series of assaults. At least one student has been killed and 14 others injured in a militant attack on the American University of Afghanistan in Kabul. Foreign staff and students remain trapped inside the campus as the attack continues. This student says it all happened very quickly.
We were chatting, we were talking, and suddenly we heard gunshots. Let's say between 6 to 10 gunshots. And after that, we heard a very huge explosion.
It's becoming more common to search the internet for medical advice than visit a GP. New research by health advocacy